Well, hello friends, it's Joni here at Joni's Journals. How is everyone doing today? If you might remember, if you watched my video from yesterday, I was showing you that I had made a shaker panel as a cover for a new Tim Holtz journal that I am creating using the pocket page journal layout that we made 2 videos ago now. And just wanted to show you that. And then this is the one that we made on camera. If you remember, we had our little bride who was left at the altar because her husband passed away, and that would be her husband. It was Mrs. M.E. Drury, and I will link that video in the description box below as well. And I had also showed you how that came to be by showing you some shaker cards that I had made. And this one is a little ghosty, and this one is a little casket using some of the Tim Holtz pumpkins and the dies that I purchased at Simon Says Stamp, along with this little Spook Tacular word, I guess, die that I purchased from, or it might have been actually a freebie from scrapbook.com. So I had said that if I had enough time today, I would come back and we could make one of those together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and gather up everything that I need, and we will get started making our card. Okay, I'll be back in a few. All right, so we are back. In lieu of using a grip mat, I'm using Old Faithful, and that is my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station by Ranger, and I pulled out my really grippy magnets. You may have seen me use these in other videos, and so yeah, sorry about the glare of my light on the top of the board, but I really can't help that right now. I had a ring light and it's not working. So what I thought we would do is we would make one that is similar to this one, only we're going to be using a different background on it. And so I have pulled out one of the card bases, which I am getting to, okay? And it is, what I did was I cut out a little casket shape using my die, which is also from scrapbook.com, and I will link that in the description box below. I grabbed out a card base, which has the casket cut out of it, and then I have one of the caskets, which I also used the dies to create. But what we're going to do first is I thought that we would add a background. If you can see on this one, we have this little brick wall background. So I thought we would repeat that one because it is kind of cute. And I thought we would have fun doing that. Oh my goodness, these magnets. I am just going to, there we go. Okay, I just need to make some space for myself and my card and my stencil. So let's get that all set up, and we will put our card down here. And again, I did pull out the brick wall stencil, and so we'll be using that to create the background for our card. Now, although these magnets are a bit of a pain, they do tend to hold things in place. And so that is what I will be using, along with my little magnets, which are also very powerful, but I don't want anything to shift on us. So I'm making sure that I have plenty of them out. Now what I'm going to be using is my Ranger Distress Oxide in weathered wood, and I already have my dauber pulled out, my little dome dauber, so that we can get started and make our little background. So what I'm going to do is I will just, because this is a relatively, I want to say creamy, thick color, I'm just going to put down one little daub of it and then work out the rest of it along our stencil. So some of it will look a little bit faded than other parts, but that's kind of what we want because I'll be darned if I can find a brick wall that might be in a graveyard or on the side of a tomb that's actually going to be completely perfect. I'm going to put that magnet over there and just move these out of the way. So we have one side already stenciled. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and match up those little bricks that are already on here and match it with what's here already so that it looks like a perfectly shaped brick wall on all sides. And I am making sure that my card is straight on here because I just realized I might have moved it just a smidge, and I did. And let's make sure that our stencil is also straight on here so that our brick wall, although it is slightly imperfect, so that our brick wall will be straight as well. Okay, and this card, there we go. If I move them both at the same time, I will get everything straight. Okay, we're going to put one in the middle there. And then we're going to continue along with our inking of our background. This is relatively quick and simple once you get everything cut out and set to go. Okay, and we'll just catch up those bricks there. Maybe grab a little bit more ink and continue on around doing our brick wall. Okay, so now we have that all completed. I'm going to move these out of the way, move my magnet, take my stencil and put it aside, and it will get cleaned off later. And we have our little card background. So as you can see, this weathered wood on this paper comes up as a relatively blue-gray, which is kind of cool, especially because it is a Halloween card. Gray, purple, blue, orange, yellow, all of those colors would work for this. But because we want to make it a little bit spookier, we're picking the gray. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm just going around the edges of the opening to kind of accentuate it on our card so that it stands out a little bit amongst the brick pattern of our stencil. So let's just go around and ink up all those open edges like so. And so now you can see it just makes it pop out a little bit more than it did while it was just part of the brick background. Then what we need to do, and I'm going to show you how I do this, is we need some acetate for our window. And so what I'm using is the Ranger Alcohol Ink Duralar, which is very heavy duty, and it makes a sturdy window. And you can see I save all of my extra pieces, but I know that none of those are going to work because they are all cut aparts, and we need a large piece for this opening. Now, in lieu of putting the plastic all over the whole entire back of the card, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure out a piece that's going to cover all of these edges all the way around. So it is going to be a large piece, but we don't need to use the whole piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm taking my Sharpie and I'm going to make a mark here so that I know that I want to cut up along here. And I am going to make a mark here on this portion, just a little bit below the top of the card, so that we have enough area to cover that opening. And then I am going to take my trimmer and move my card. I'm going to grab out my trimmer, and I'm going to cut along where I made those marks. I'm just going to move this board up. Okay. And I'm going to cut along this edge and cut along that edge so that we can get our piece of Duralar that will fit our card. Okay. So I'm going to cut down. I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to cut down and cut that edge off. Okay, like so. We have that piece, which I may just dispose of because it is relatively small. And then I'm going to cut along that mark here. And then we will have made the size of acetate that we need to cover our window. Okay, so there we go. We have that. And I will get rid of my trimmer, put it back in its home, bring my little station back and grab back our card. And then I'm just going to turn it over, measure it to make sure that it fits. Okay, because we don't want any mess ups where it might not fit our card. And I'm going to grab my glue, and I'm going to use my glue gun, which hopefully is working for me, because you know how I am with my glue. All right, and I'm going to go relatively close to the edge of the opening, but probably stay away about 1/4 of an inch, so that when I put my Tacular acetate, whatever you might be using, onto the card along the opening, come on, it won't squeeze out into the opening and make a mess. Okay, so now we have our Tacular, and I am going to lay that down on top of my glue. You could use double-sided tape for this. For some reason, I prefer the glue. I have always preferred the glue when I'm putting this on, because I've learned from experience to be careful and to not squeeze it, squish it, or mush it, or anything. And you can see now we have our little window inside our shaker card to cover the opening where we're going to put our shaker bits. Now, in this case, we will be adding something to the shaker window, and that is the rest of our casket. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my little glue bottle, which has a thinner opening, and I am going to take and I am going to put glue all around the edges of our little casket here, like so. Okay, I'm going to put it all around. Okay, but again, not too much, because we don't want it to ooze out onto our acetate window. And then I am going to simply fit the casket into the opening and lay it down like so. Okay, and just gently push down onto the casket. Okay, and there we have our little card with our casket, which I just realized I think I put it on upside down, but it really doesn't make too much difference. Okay, we're going to set this aside to dry just for a few minutes, and then I'm going to show you. We're going to choose 3 pumpkins. Now, these are the Pumpkinhead Stamps from Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz, one of the sets which I did not have and had to order this year, especially because Simon Says Stamp, oh, there's another little one here. Simon Says Stamp came out with a die set that goes along with the stamps, and I'm going to pull that out to show you that Simon Says Stamp has the dies for Pumpkinhead, and this is the original stamp set by Stampers Anonymous. Okay, I will link these in the description box below. Hopefully they're both still available. But we're going to pick out 3 little pumpkins, and that's what we are going to use on the front of our card. So let's see. Oh, and here's our other little gourd. Okay, I know I used my gourd on my last card. So maybe we'll pick this guy who looks like he got beat up in a fight. These have been stamped and I colored them with alcohol markers, no fancy brand, just a set that I found on Amazon that worked for me. So I figure we'll pull out this guy that looks like he got beat up, and then we will pull out, let's see, I don't want to use the same ones, so let's pull our card out for reference. Okay, so we have this guy, the beat up guy, and then we can pull out one little happy guy. Okay, you can see colored. Okay, and then maybe we will pull out this guy who looks like he's been scared half out of his wits. Maybe he got spooked on Halloween. And these are the 3 pumpkins that we will use for our card. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull these back. I had been doing, as I said in my last video, a lot of stamping, coloring, and die cutting last week. My daughter and I were coloring in some of the images. And yeah, we had a little bit of fun. We liked to color a lot together when she was younger. So now I think that our base is pretty dry. I'm going to give it a little push down because at this point, I don't think that our glue is going to ooze out too much. I am not, however, going to press down onto the casket portion because that is still kind of wet. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab out my foam tape. And as I showed you in my last video, you do want to bring your foam tape up close to your image. And you also want to make sure, what I do with my scissors, that you are sealing up the opening completely. Because once you put your shaker bits in, you don't want them to escape and go running all over the place. And then your nice little Halloween card that you made for a friend or for family is ruined because your shaker beads are leaving you, okay? So I am going to bring this up close here on the bottom, okay? And it is shaped a little weird, but we're going to put another piece inside of there, okay? You do want to, like I said, make sure that the opening is sealed up tight. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another little piece right here, right along the edge of the opening, okay, and butt it up against that one so that we're kind of making sure that our beads aren't going anywhere. And then I'm going to continue along, and I'm going to go up along the edge of the casket again, like so, okay, and we will continue in this way until we have completely covered our little casket opening, okay, up against the edge of the little window there. And it may appear a little bit choppy, but like I said, it is very, very important that you seal up all these edges so nothing can escape. Okay, so I'm going to cut that piece here, like so. And then I'm going to run a piece in here, like so. Okay. And this way, all of our openings are no longer open for escape. Okay? And then I'm going to go around all the edges of my card, which in this case, you can see I do have an area there where I sealed up the opening for my casket. And I can't put tape along the bottom, but we have enough down here for support so that our card doesn't sag once we have the whole thing together. And then I'm going to go along the bottom like that. And then I'll bring some up on both sides of this. Okay, I'll go like this. You can speed this up. I don't know how to change the speed of the video. So if you're a little bit bored with this, you can, of course, skip ahead to the next part, okay? Because what I'm going to do once I've shown you how to do this whole thing is I am going to go away and I am going to add a second layer of foam tape to my card because I want enough space for my shaker beads to be able to move around within the opening and not get clogged up. So this is how I do the entire card, and I may add, you know, a couple of little pieces in here and also along here to continue to be able to support the card. But as you can see, you can't really see anything from the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up adding all of my foam tape, and I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, so while you were gone, or should I say while I was gone, I have finished adding all of my foam tape to the back. And you can see this is quite a little bit of a mishmash here. I'm trying to keep this open area enclosed so that none of those beads escape. Now I've added a double layer because my foam tape really isn't thick enough to achieve the effect I want to achieve on this card. And now what we're going to do, now that I've done all of that, is we're going to add some of our shaker bits. Now this is a mix of, oh gosh, I forgot. It's, I will look them up. I'll link them in the description box below. But this is a link of Pretty Pink Posh and, oh gosh, they call it glitter or something like that. And I've combined it into a little jar here. Some of these pieces do glow in the dark. And so it's a pumpkin and, you know, a Halloween mix. And so I'm going to add some of that into the opening of my card first, because I do want some of these little ghosties and monster heads and things to show, and some of the little glow in the dark pieces. And the reason that I take my tape off first, the backing off my tape first, is because if I was pulling and pushing and gluing and sticking all of this stuff down after I added my glitter, we would have a bit of a mess. And then this is just a mix that I purchased off of Amazon. It's little multicolored beads, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sprinkle some of that into the opening as well. And you can see some of it is bouncing out of the opening and getting stuck to the double-sided tape. And so what I will do is I will just grab those little beads off and stick them back into the opening. And you can see my tape, I'm getting stuck to my tape on here. And so I'm going to find a place that's not taped, and I'm going to pull my fingers off. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of this because you do want to get a nice thin layer onto the window so that your shaker has the effect that you want it to have. And I'm just going to add a little bit more. And I have gotten some of those little beads stuck to the tape again. So I'm going to hold my card down and get myself unstuck and add those little beads into the opening so that it's nice and full. Okay, and then we're going to add our backer onto it. Now, I figured since I was using the weathered wood, I pulled out a piece of a blue glitter cardstock, which, as I explained previously in my last video, that my cousin was using. She's a teacher, and at that point she was teaching kindergarten, and so she was making little letters and things out of the glitter paper. And then when she was done, she had all the paper left over, and she decided to give it to me. So I'm going to use that as the backer for my card because it will match the weathered wood. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up onto that tape and lay it down, and then push all along the edges of the tape and push into the middle here where I know I've added extra foam tape to give it a little bit more loft to hold our little shaker bits in, okay? And so go around and make sure that that's all good on there, because this backing, this piece will actually go onto a card base and become our Halloween card. Okay, I think we have it stuck down well enough. So now let's turn it over and see what our little shaker looks like. Look at that. Isn't that fun? See, we added just enough so that it gives a nice shaker effect. And when it's been sitting in the light for a while, those little glow-in-the-dark pieces will glow when it's dark. And we want to shake it and make sure all of our little pieces are moving around. So isn't that fun? I think that's a lot of fun. And now we're going to take our pumpkins that we picked out from our little Tim Holtz little stash of pumpkins and lay them along the bottom here and kind of place them so that they're all showing on the bottom of our card. And I do have both. I have the word Spooktacular, which I used on the last card, which I think would look good on here, but I do have a die cut that says Happy Halloween. This is a cheap one that I had gotten off of Amazon. So we could, by all rights, put that one that way in the corner there, okay? And have our little Happy Halloween sort of off to the side. But I don't really think that I like the way that looks, all crooked like that. So I think we will stick with our Spooktacular and kind of place it up here at the top. Okay, and we can add some little gems onto the card itself as well. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick down my pumpkins and I'm going to place down these that are stuck to the card first. Okay, and we have him or her, could be a lady pumpkin. Okay, I mean, we do have lady pumpkins, I guess. She has a little curl in her hair, so she could be a lady pumpkin. Although, you know, guys have curls too. And make sure that she's kind of sitting on there nice and straight. And then we'll add this one. Okay. Our little, we'll call this one a boy pumpkin. He got beat up in a fight. Maybe he was having a fight with someone over his pumpkin spice latte. Oh, now we're just being silly. Okay, so now we have our little pumpkin there. And then we just have this jolly little one who's just happy to be in the mix. And we can put that one right about there. Okay, and it's similar to the other card that I made before, but it is a little bit different. The colors are different. The pumpkins are different. And I do have, I'm going to see how well this video goes over, because I do have some pumpkin spice things and some autumn things and such that I can make cards from too. But that depends on how all of you react to seeing me make a card instead of me making a journal. I just thought it would be fun because I do make cards along with making journals. And so now we'll add our little saying on here, our Spooktacular. And then when we place it onto a card base, we can add Happy Halloween as well. This little one's not staying stuck. Push them down. And I think we'll put our Spooktacular right about there. Okay, we do have a little glue on our letters. I'm just gonna push that down onto the acetate and push the word down like so. Okay, and there we have our little card front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab some gems and see if maybe we want to add some of those. I do have some black, and so I'm going to grab out some of those, and maybe we can add some little black gems to the front of our card as well. So let me prepare this and I'll be right back to you when I have some pulled out. Okay, so I've pulled out 2 different sizes of black flat back gems. This came, I believe I got it on Amazon. And all of the little gems, flat back pearls that were in here, they were perfectly divided up by size. And then I opened the jar the wrong way and they fell out and I had a mess and they're no longer in size order. So yeah, that's what can happen. So I thought we might add a couple of those up here at the top. I'm just going to put some glue down here. And I do like to add them in groups of 3 or 5, maybe an uneven number. And I think we're going to add another little one over here. Maybe we'll add this little one here. And it just adds a little something to the card. I will show you another card that I made, which is going to be turned into a card that will go to my daughter. And I think we're going to add 1, 2, 3 here as well. Whoop. Like so. And then maybe we can add 1 over here. And oh, see, I lied. I don't have enough pulled out. 1 over there. Maybe we'll just add a little one here and here. And we can, I guess we'll have to be a little bit uneven in one area because we'll have 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we'll just make do with that. And if I feel like I want to add another one, I might do so. I'm going to put that one there and put this one there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to add a little glue. Right here, I'll pick that up and we'll put that one down right there. Pick that one up. Put that one down there. And then maybe we'll put that one right about there. Like so. And I'll grab another one out and I will probably add it to the card after the fact. And I'll put one there. Let's turn you over now. Whoop, come on. There we go. And we'll have that. And then what I'll probably do is just add another one there so that I'll have a group of 3. But isn't that fun? And very simple. I would say one whole card with die cutting and everything might take you about an hour to complete. But you have a little personalized card that you can give to someone for Happy Halloween. And like I said, I am going to add it to a card base. And then more than likely what I'll probably do on the inside of the card is just add my little Happy Halloween sentiment. And I have myself set up a cute little Halloween card. Now this is the one that I was telling you about. I did make this one for my daughter. And this is using some of those die cuts that I had showed you that I made. The sunflowers, we did make a tag based off of one of those sunflowers. And these are some of the other ones that I created, and they eventually became a card front, which is what we made together today. Okay, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to send you lots of love and big hugs and ask you please to remember to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps all of us. If you'd like to take some pictures of something you made that's similar to what we may have made on our video, you can always message me through my Etsy. It'll be linked in the description box below. And you can send me pictures there as well. I also have a membership. I think it's 99 cents or 75 cents. And once I get enough members, I might do members only exclusive videos on there, or members videos where members get to see it first before it's released to the general public. So yeah, that'll be linked in the description box below. And what I will do is I will link all of the items that we use to create this card also in the description box below. I think the only one I may not be able to link is this. I think this was a freebie that scrapbook.com was giving out last year, and I got that with an order. But that's it. Okay, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to go and check out all my other videos. The video that came out yesterday also is making that shaker that I showed you, which was a cover for a Tim Holtz Halloween journal based off of my pocket page journal, which is another video I'll link in the description box below. Okay, guys, have the great rest of your day or evening, wherever you are and whenever you're watching, and I will see you soon. Okay, thanks, bye. Love, hugs, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.